Travel writer, author, and outdoor adventurer Stacey Wittig is joining us for our second Friday Food, Wine, and Travel show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. And she's going to tell us all about beautiful, and I mean really beautiful, Saguenay Fjord National Park in Quebec, Canada. And I may not have said that correctly, but I'm trying. But anyway, reading her article, which everyone, you can see it on nationalparktraveling.com right now and will be in the spring-summer issue of Parks and Travel magazine. Looking at that in the photos, and this looks like a paradise. If you love the outdoors and history, and apparently there's red champagne involved.
Well, I like that part.
I know, Nancy.
I want it.
This is an awesome destination. But everyone, I encourage you to follow Stacey on her Instagram account and social media. Everything you can find out is just go to unstoppablestacey.com. And welcome to the show, Stacey. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
I know this is exciting, because I've been following you on social media for so long and always watching your articles that you share a passion of Nancy and I, which is outdoors and nature and walking. And so I also learned that you have the nickname of Spiritual Adventurer.
Ooh.
So this is pretty interesting. When you walk, is that a spiritual practice for you? I know Nancy and I, it's meditative, and I feel connected to the universe through walking. But how did you get that name?
So I do a lot of walking on the various Caminos de Santiago in northern Spain. So I've walked through Spain, through France. I've done portions of it in Italy, and it really is a passion of mine. I've written books about it, and I just love to walk, and I use it as a spiritual practice, so meditation. And, like you said, just that love of outdoors is a great way to do it.
I know. I was looking that you have, spiritual and walking guides, but not just in English and also in German, right?
Wow.
Yes, I do.
Cool.
Wow. So you
so
write
tell
in
all
German?
your German-speaking friends.
Yeah.
No, there was a translator, a young man who is actually a German translator. That's his job, and he did that. So.
And that was a Leon to Santiago on El Camino, and this is a spiritual and walking guides book. You've done that also in France, and then you also the Camino, and then you've also done books, a walking tour of Santa Fe. You've done one on Grand Canyon and New Mexico's Bandelier walking tour. Now, isn't that connected to a national park unit that Nancy and I might have to visit on our Love Your Park tour?
I think you must. Oh, yes. Bandelier in New Mexico is fabulous. So ancient ruins, ancient people that lived there, and you can crawl up log ladders into their cliffside homes. It's very exciting place.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm going to have to check out your Santa Fe one, too. Nancy and I have not done Santa Fe, and I know that on our tour we're going to be going through New Mexico this year. It's going to happen and on our way to Colorado and then go east. But I think Santa Fe may end up on our list this year, so we'll see.
It better.
I know.
I want to go.
I know. So you've written all these books.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I know we're going to talk about Saguenay Fjord. When you go, have you always been a walker and an adventurer? Is this something that, you started doing as a kid?
I grew up in northern Minnesota, and so I basically was almost born and bred in a canoe. But when I was in high school, I did my very first backpacking trip. And my very first backpacking trip was 150 miles in the Canadian wilderness. And we did that in 15 days with a YMCA group, life-changing. It was amazing adventure. And so ever since then, I've been into walking, hiking, backpacking, anything that can get me out into the outdoors.
Doesn't it teach you things like you suddenly what kind of moss is this? Oh, this lichen looks different here. Like the little things, you start to see the little things, and you start to feel the history too. Do you ever get that, so and so walked through here, and I can feel it?
Oh yeah, especially on the Camino de Santiago. I think of the millions and millions of people that have been walking that trail since the Middle Ages. I can feel their prayers. I can feel the spirituality. Sometimes just looking down at the trail and thinking, wow, St. Francis walked here. Or, Queen Elizabeth So,
wow. And if they met
I
and they
don't
had a
really
party
think
together,
I
that'd
don't
be a
really
picnic.
think Queen
St.
Elizabeth
Francis
walked
of
there.
Assisi.
This is amazing
Yeah.
history, and that was what's interesting for me on Saguenay Fjord National Park, again in Quebec. Everyone, reading your article, and this is what we find a lot is nature and history go hand in hand, no matter what. And it seems that there's a lot of history there, but also geology.
Yeah.
I was looking at the rock formations; it almost feels very volcanic. So you've got salt water, you got fresh water coming in some of the areas, so now it gets really interesting in the ecology. And then you've got these crazy rocks and forest and history as well.
Right.
Wow.
So I did not realize that here in North America, we have one of the longest fjords in the world. And so I was able to hike along that. A fjord is a narrow canyon that's filled with salt water. So there in Quebec, I had a chance I was high above the the canyon walls, which were all granite and polished by glaciers. So the canyon is made by glaciers, and it just was totally amazing. And like you mentioned, there's like ecosystems that are coming together. So I'm in central Quebec, where there's the boreal forest and the moss and the spruce is, like filling the air with that beautiful smell of spruce and pines. And then there's salt water coming in. And so there's actually a place where you can go watch for beluga whales in this area. Cool. So the belugas come into the St. Lawrence River, which is very close to the Saguenay Fjord. So it's just a lovely place. I was so fascinated.
You said Saguenay correctly compared to me. You got it. You know how to say it.
Saguenay, not Saguenay.
I know. Okay.
Saguenay.
I know.
Saguenay.
I know. I was on YouTube today. I was like, somebody say it, and then you lose it. It's like, come on, every video, and I've watched some of the videos out there. It's amazing. The thing too, it's you go out there, you've got this history, you've got this nature, you've got the indigenous people, but you got beluga whales, and this is the thing. That is like my heart and soul. Beluga whales. There's something about them. Did you get to see one when you were there?
No, I didn't. So I didn't go on. There's this cool whale watching tour. You go out in a Zodiac and you can go, look for the whales during that whale season, which is, I think, July to September, something like that. And I didn't get a chance to, so I really want to go back and do that and do some other things. I mean, the place is so amazing. You could go back time and time again and have a different experience every time.
Wow. Is it different, going to a Canadian national park versus an American one? In regards to I think it's going to be different in the place, but how would they run?
Right. I think, so since I grew up in Minnesota, I was right on the border of Canada, and I was able to experience Canadian national parks. And like I said, my first backpacking trip was in Canada, and we started out in Jasper National Park. And to me, and this is just my personal opinion, but it seems like they have a lot more educational programs, maybe instances where you can go and see people dressed in period and talk with them and learn about the history. So reenactors and that sort of thing that I don't think I've seen too much in U.S. parks, but I'm sure there's someplace, right?
Yeah, there are.
Also, one of the things I experienced here in Quebec was very few visitors. So you're really getting that wilderness experience. And so I think one of the differences is, and this depends on different U.S. national parks too, right? But not as crowded. So more remote, a little bit harder to get to, but then you have this total wilderness and maybe more of an individual experience.
That's nice, because I know, we promote parks all the time. Go to your parks, support your parks, love your parks.
Absolutely.
Stand up for them for being protected and, the budget and everything.
Yes.
But then as soon as we go in a park, Nancy and I look at each other and like, okay, can you all leave now because we're here.
We're here.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Right. Right.
There's a balance, and some of our parks really have a hard time. The smaller parks, that's the one thing we learned on our tour. There's over 418 parks now.
Yeah, something like
or
that now.
Units within the National Park Service. You have the 60 parks that are national parks. But then the rest you get some of these smaller ones. You're right outside the Grand Canyon. I mean, you're one of the, most iconic parks we have in the country. So, and you get packed. Then you come out here in Tucson and you go down around the corner to Chiricahua National Monument, or you go to Fort Bowie, and they don't get that kind of traffic. And so it's the parks in this country, you do really need to just go on those kind of trails and find those little parks, but they also have amazing things to experience, for sure. They really do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, we're going to have to do Canada parks now, too, because reading your article on this, because you're saying that National Geographic named their trail system as one of the world's top walks and hikes. So this sounds like paradise to me.
Right. I was able to walk on one of their very famous trails, and that is part of their trail system in the whole national park. And it is actually part of a trail system in Quebec that's called Le Petit Compostelle, which is the small Camino de Santiago. So they're kind of mimicking the Spanish and French Caminos and doing a Camino through Quebec. So that was very, very nice for me to plant my feet on the ground in that national park and think that I was walking part of that pilgrimage trail.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's amazing, because there's that one of your photos you have, and I saw it on the map too, that you had a photograph of a map board, but of this, it's Jesus, right? Or is that this big statue?
So there's this huge statue of Mary, and the backstory on that is that back in the 1800s, a merchant was sledding his horse and his sled across the fjord because it was frozen up, and he fell into the ice. And so he was ready to drown and lose all his merchandise. And he prayed to Mary, okay, Mary, I'll do something very special for you if you save my life. And so the story kind of goes on and on. But finally, I think it was after like maybe 30 years, he finally built that statue. And so it's really quite an amazing feat to even get that huge statue up on this tall cliff, this tall granite cliff.
Wow.
Isn't there one either in South America or in Mexico?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. There's a tall Jesus.
Yeah, that's what. As soon as I saw it, that's what I thought. And they all had long hair back then. So I'm just saying.
Right.
Got to cover my tracks on that. Sorry, Jesus and Mary, but you both have long hair. But those kind of stories, I love those. And aren't there always those stories when you go on a trail? There's trail legends,
Yes.
I love that.
But that's part of history.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so much fun.
What's up with this hiking on? This is crazy. Is it Via Ferrata courses? Like when you climb on the edge of the cliff?
Whoa.
Yes. So this is another thing that the national park offers there. And I don't think any national park in the U.S. would do this because it's way too dangerous. But so you can sign up and pay for these special Via Ferrata excursions, and they do one that's like a beginner level, medium level, and then the expert level. Wow. You would not see me on any of those because basically you have a climbing harness on, you are, you have carabiners, and you're clipped into an iron rod or an iron cable. That's where Ferrata comes from, iron, and via path. So it's an iron path, and you climb along these huge cliffs, clipped in, obviously. And so these are trails, and you get to a hanging bridge, and you go over this hanging bridge that's swinging back and forth. And I look at the pictures and I go, never, I could never do this. But, for those adrenaline junkies, people, really travel for this sort of thing. So it's good to know that that's available in Saguenay Fjord National Park.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll look at everybody else's pictures because I'm not doing that either.
It's like the suspension bridges in South Africa, and you're like, really?
No, I have a fear of heights, and it's just something weird that happened to me where suddenly, like, I have a fear of heights. And I always told Nancy, I Thelma and Louised it when I was, my past life. That's what happened to me. And that's how, because even, like, I've driven the Continental Divide up in Aspen, and I'm white-knuckling it the whole way, and we're right on the edge. And Nancy's like, will you pull over? I'm like, I can't pull over. I'll pee in my pants. No, but, it's like, no, I can't. I'll just try. I have this thing that I'll just go, and it's like, it's not even vertigo. It's weird. But when I look at that, I go, okay, would I even trust that system of being able to be on the cliff? I don't know if I could do it, but I would like to push myself to do it and get past it. I'd have to listen to music. I'd like to do that. And talk about that. Part of your background, too.
I'm driving.
Nancy's driving on the tour, by the way. We do have Priscilla, our pink sock monkey. She's our travel mascot, and she's really the driver on the tour. No, but going through challenges, reading your background of being in corporate America and all that good stuff that comes with it, which eventually we all go, run for the hills, run. You also went through a traumatic brain injury and going through a car accident and kept moving forward. Does walking and travel help you move forward?
I really believe that it does. I was in a horrific car accident. I should have been killed. I have a brain injury that still, affects my brain. And I always say, well, that sometimes makes for amusing travel anecdotes because I can kind of get myself into funny situations. But I don't let it stop me. So I don't let my brain injury stop me. I want to keep traveling. It was something that I loved to do before, I had it. And so I've been able to continue and push through that and really have some amazing experiences. And so I love to encourage women to travel. I love to encourage solo travelers. I love to encourage people that might have a disability that think, oh, I don't know if I can travel because of this issue. And I say, hey, how can I help you? I'd love to help encourage you to do that because travel really does, like you said, move you down the road and bring you on journeys that you would never have experienced, people, places, and just, even spiritual experiences.
Yeah, I think it's life, man. It is. It's like to me, it's everything.
It's everything.
Have you ever experienced that way when you're walking or hiking, a bird or an animal that decides to kind of lead you down the path or follow you and just kind of stick with you? Have you had that experience yet?
Well, I have had an experience. I've had two experiences that come to mind. One is I was kind of losing my way, and this was in France, walking, on these trail systems that are kind of hard to find. And all of a sudden, this dog just started barking at me. And, a ferocious dog because he's protecting the sheep in the field, So he's doing his job. He's doing a good job. And so I kind of move away from him because I know that's what you're supposed to do when dogs are guarding their flocks. And so I started moving away, and he was really pushing me down the right way. So he, because he was barking at me and kind of made me go to the right, that was the way that I should have gone. So I always think that's kind of a cool, animal story. Yeah. And then in another time, in another place in France, I was walking through cattle country, and it was in the Pyrenees. And so a Great Pyrenees, very young Great Pyrenees, like maybe a year oldish, started following me. And he kept following me, which was fun at first. But then I'm realizing you need to go home. Like, you shouldn't be following me. You need to be with your people. And so, so I got some great photos. He was a beautiful dog. But trying to send him home was like, oh, come on, honey, you can't go with me anymore.
But it's interesting. So you're the spiritual adventurer with dogs following you and barking at you.
Right.
I love that.
I mean, sometimes we've had this experience. Remember the blue
Your
jay?
new name is Running Dog.
There was this blue jay that decided, I'm going on this hike with you, and just kept landing in different trees and posts along where the trail signs were. We're like, this is weird, man.
Vermilion flycatchers do that
they
too.
do too. Yeah,
they take you on the walk. They want it's interesting.
They're probably, from a nature standpoint, probably guarding their territory, but so they're just keeping tabs on what you're doing. But from our standpoint, it's like, look, they're coming with us.
I know. And then we sit and have champagne because we're a little. This is how we get our spirit on. After our walk, we sit in nature and drink champagne, and that's when we know to break. Is I carry champagne in my backpack, and when it starts to sweat too much, I know it's time to pull over. And then we sit amongst the birds and drink champagne. That's how we hike. So it's probably not the healthiest thing, but we're happy. Then if you're going to have champagne, you should do it out in nature amongst the flowers and the trees.
And hummingbirds.
Yeah. And so I want to know what's up with this red champagne. A photo of you with a red champagne.
So you know how when you travel, you love to eat the local food. And so in this region of Quebec is the only place where they make this, they call it red champagne. And really it is a red soda, and it's very red. Tastes a little, like before I tasted it, they said, well, it tastes a little bit like Dr. Pepper and cream soda. So something along those lines. And so I tasted it, and because I had to have the local drink, and I didn't really think it tasted like Dr. Pepper at all. To me, it tasted really a lot like cream soda and something different, like it had its own unique, lovely taste. And the thing that you're supposed to do with that, so this is like road trip food, right? So you pull over at the corner store, you get the red champagne, you get cheese curds, and the cheese curds have to be so fresh that they squeak when you bite them. So you bite the cheese curd and it squeaks, and this is a good cheese curd. And then there's like another special kind of potato chip that they only have in that area. So this is, you're a local when you're drinking red champagne, squeaking your cheese curds, and eating potato chips.
Oh my God!
That's funny.
Bubble and squeak and crunch.
I know.
I was looking. Bubble and squeak. You eat that in England. It's a trip. That's a trip. I had to ask, and I was like, okay, because it was in a can, and I'm like, what? You're putting champagne in a can? That's not right. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong there.
So it's really a soda. So it's not alcoholic, but it's like a really cool soda.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool. And I got a lot of hits on social media when I put it up.
I bet. We did in South Africa. We used to buy a 6-pack of Esprit, and it looked to me, because it came in a can, that it was actually a soda. And Lisa was a minor at the time, and we were just like, we're going through Kruger Park in South Africa, and let's pop open a little Esprit. And then after a couple, I'm like, I'm kind of feeling like this isn't really soda. And it turned out to be alcoholic beverage.
Okay, I'm gonna say that we had a lot of them one day, and then we went in the park store they sold them there, and we were up right near the border of Angola, Punta Maria, and the camp up there in Kruger Park. And we were in the van. This is Nancy's tour with our artwork, and this is the other tour, because apparently we just can't sit still. So we were in the campground, and they had all these military guys sleeping outside in sleeping bags, okay? So, I don't know, we both had some kind of little buzz. Shocking. I was, 13 years old? And we started looking at the stars through the binoculars. I remember that. And then we had this stupid tape that you'd put in back in the day where you could play tapes in the car that would have bird sounds and teach you bird calls and animal sounds and things like that. And so Nancy has this beautiful idea of let's turn the car on, but we can't turn it all the way on. And we'll play the tape with the lion roar to freak the guys out sleeping out there.
Oh, no.
So this is what happens with things like red champagne and Esprit.
Yes,
so we put it in, we think we have the right tape, and just do it from the beginning, it'll be right there. Oh, no, it's the bird call tape, and then you get this guy loud throughout the entire campground. And now the bird will go, it will rain. It will rain. Peep, peep, peep. And that is what went through the campground of all these burly dudes. So anyway.
No.
See, but then, you just do what you do. Go and try stuff out. But I was a happy little girl. It was so much fun.
Guess so.
But it sounded like you had some good food over there, too. You went on this marine shuttle service. Like, this is cool. And so people can kayak and stuff. That's my thing. I want to go kayak. I want to do this.
Right.
Go kayaking.
So that's what I thought I should really add, that the cuisine, the French-Canadian cuisine, is absolutely wonderful. I ate the best food there. And so, like, this road trip food I was just telling you about has nothing to do with the cuisine. But, beautiful, really beautiful food made from local ingredients. I visited a vineyard where they're making wine, and it was just like a really good food scene there, which is one of the reasons it was named by National Geographic as a top hiking spot, because you get the wilderness, and then you can take one of these marine shuttles from the national park to one of these small, charming French-Canadian villages. And there are like chalets to stay in, and just really authentic food and places to stay. Most of the people speak French, so you really feel like you're having an international experience, which of course you're in Canada, so you are having an international experience. But when most of the people around you are speaking a different language, it really gives you that feeling of, wow, I'm really far from home and this is cool. Now, many people speak English, so it's not difficult to find, English speakers. But you do get into a situation where, they only speak French, so maybe they have to go get their, young teenager to come and translate for you. But, that's just the fun of traveling too, right? So
cool.
We
like that.
I know. This is really cool. And I was reading in your article, you said that this park is 78,900 acres. So that is like acres and water acres, land acres, This is incredible. This is incredible. So you can kayak. I love that. And did you get a chance to get in the kayaks?
No, I went into a marina where there were kayaks there and got to speak with one of the women who takes people out on kayaks. And so, so they have really nice, big, long sea kayaks because you're in this fjord, which is, like a lot of wind and, like more like sea kayaking than it would be in like something I'm more used to in a river or here in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see any wildlife when you were out there? Any on the land or in the ocean that just opened your mind?
Yeah, I saw a lot of birds, which I really loved. And I really love, looking for hawks and eagles and that sort of thing. So that was really fun to do. And I would love to go back and do the whale watching. One of the small towns at the mouth of the fjord, at the beginning of the fjord, at the head of the fjord, I'm not really sure what to call it. I think head would be a good thing. There's a sea museum. And so it's, an interactive science museum, but you can go in there and they had, in tanks, the fish and the stingray and just really amazing different sea animals that are from that area, so native to that area. So that was really fun too. You feel like you're interacting with them when they're just across the glass from you, right?
Wow,
that's cool.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Just
Yeah.
to me, I mean, just getting out there in nature. I want to go to this park. I mean, I was looking at the photos, and I'm just like, I need to go. Nancy's always said we need to do Canada too. Now,
Absolutely.
the Love Your Park store has no, not just America, but if we can cross the border, we will. That's our thing. Yeah, I do want to say,
Right.
this is our the IFTWA segment. We call them IFTWA, everybody, International Food Wine Travel Writers Association. And you can go to their website, ifwtwa.org. It's a cool organization. So not only travel writers and photographers and authors in that field, but also you've got all the destinations that come together there, and even chefs. I mean, there's all kinds of members with this. And you were saying before we started doing this, talking here, that you've been with the organization for almost 10 years?
Yeah, so I don't remember if it's 8 or 9 years, but I have been with the organization. When people ask me, how can I be a travel writer? I want to be a travel writer. I always say join IFTWA. IFTWA, when I first started out 10 years ago, gave me mentors, people that helped me, people that I could go on press trips with and look at how are they conducting themselves. This is how I should conduct myself. So there's just lots to learn from people that have been in the business for so long. And so that's one of the reasons I love to be a mentor too, is because people have helped me so much over the years in my travel writing career.
Oh wow, that's
cool.
amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad to hear that. I know that we get the pleasure of interviewing all these writers every month, and we love it because we get to hear about all these places. I would never have known about this national park if it wasn't for you. And I'm like, wow, now we need to go. So Saguenay, am I saying that right, Nat? Saguenay.
Saguenay.
And
I think so.
everyone.
I think you have it.
Saguenay. I'm like, yes, it's say. Anyway, Saguenay. And everyone, you can go to nationalparktraveling.com. Just type in Stacey, Stacey, and you'll find the article. And it's also being featured in the April through June issue of Parks and Travel magazine, the digital issue there. But I encourage you to keep up with Stacey at unstoppablestacy.com and follow her on social media. She's super fun to follow. Always walking somewhere or hiking or backpacking, and even if there's snow, she doesn't care. You don't care if it's snowing. You'll go. You're into snow. I know that. And dogs apparently. Now, before you go, I do have to ask you this question. This is one of my favorite questions that I have to ask you. Okay, so we have our thing with our 1 hour walk group on Facebook. # 1 hour walk, everyone. The whole thing is to get out. And, we have that contemplative time. We have that meditation time we were talking about. But walking also is about having a conversation with someone. So if you could take a walk with 2 other people, you can have 3, up to 2 to 3 people, alive or passed on, anyone that you want to sit and get the scoop. It could be to learn from or to reconnect. It could be family. It could be Thomas Jefferson. I don't know why I said him, but anybody that you want to sit and hang out with on a 1 hour walk, who would they be? And what are you going to talk about because we want the scandal? And where would you go?
Oh, okay. So first person comes to mind is John Muir because he, was so instrumental in our national park system, and it would just be so cool to talk with him. And then the other person that I would want to walk with is maybe Jesus. Like, how cool would that be that Jesus, and John Muir are walking together and asking them the questions on, what's going to happen next, or how do we save the planet now?
You better take Mary, too, because, I called her Jesus. So
right. I think she'd be hanging out with us, too.
You can turn water into wine.
There's a family resemblance.
Listen. Jesus should go on every hike because he can turn water into wine. I'm like, among other things.
Useful.
But that is like, could you imagine that? Like, you're on this major hike of backpacking, and it's like, oh, I'm running out of water. Boom, it's a superpower. The coolest superpower. I know. It's like it's a miracle.
Right.
It's awesome. No, but I think that would be, I would love to see those two have a conversation, just to, and where are we going with everything, in the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and okay, but where is this hike going to be?
Oh, where would we go? I think we'd have to be on the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Have you hiked portions of it or done it or?
No, not that I know of. I've hiked so many trails, and then maybe Pacific Crest Trail wasn't on my radar when I walked them. But as far as I know, I don't think I've walked any portions of it. But, the John Muir Trail connects to it, and this next July I'll be hiking, I'll be backpacking in Yosemite, so in the backcountry of Yosemite. Yeah, I might have to do another article for you on that one.
And we got a friend that will help you. He takes people up Half Dome and everything. John DeGrazio.
Oh, my gosh.
Why Explore? Yeah, he's the dude. And he just hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro for the second time. Just came back from Tanzania doing that.
Oh,
I know. He's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love all these people that do all these amazing things, and we just do our 1 hour walk and go, isn't that pretty and nice? And
You are doing
champagne.
amazing things.
We do go further than that. We really do. But you guys are like, rock stars in our book. So such a pleasure having you on this show. Stacey, again, everyone, the article is on nationalparktraveling.com. And also go to unstoppablestacy.com and keep up with the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association at ifwtwa.org. We have a special song for you because you're a backpacker, and I know you go up mountains, and this is for you and all those people that go on that cliff and do that thing with hanging off the cliff, the Via Ferrata. For anybody going up there, this song is, and it's also because of where you're based in Flagstaff. This is from Evren Ozan, a Native American flute player. They were on a cross-country road trip, his mom and him. They stopped at the Grand Canyon. He took his pocket money and bought a flute and started playing, like instantly. Ended up winning NAMI awards, playing with all kinds of, amazing Native American musicians. Grammy nominated, been in National Geographic for his work, and this is off of his album Alluvia. Now he's a pilot and
he's a pilot
skateboarding. High-speed skateboarder.
Yeah.
So he still goes to schools and teaches powwows. But anyway, so this comes from your backyard. It's called The Climb. Again, off of Evren Ozan is the name. You can go to ozanmusic.com to learn more. But here it is, The Climb. Thanks so much for joining us, Stacey.
Hey, thank you, Lisa and Nancy.
You take care, and we'll talk soon. Here it is, everyone. The Climb.